Hey everyone, this is JJ Outlaw.
And T Outlaw.
And we're the co-hosts of the Gourmet Goober podcast. Hey, let me ask you something. Have you ever wanted to make a podcast of your very own? Well, Spotify has a platform that lets you make one super easy and distribute it everywhere and even earn money. It's an all-in-one place solution and it's for free. Get that. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or your computer, so that way, no matter what your setup is, you can start creating today. And get this, you can distribute your podcasts to Spotify and everywhere else that podcasts are heard, right? You can even make video podcasts right on Spotify as well. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscription. And best of all, did I tell you guys it's free, right? Because it's free and there's no catch. Let me tell you something. Ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, I've been loving this platform, okay? It makes creating and producing the Gourmet Goober podcast so easy to do. And it makes it so easy as well to distribute the show through all the platforms. And you guys know you can hear the Gourmet Goober podcast everywhere. So I highly recommend it you give this a try. Do me a favor, download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started today. Thank you for listening to the Gourmet Goober podcast. Now back to the show. This is JJ Outlaw.
Hi, this is T Outlaw.
And we are back with a new episode of the Gourmet Goober podcast. You can catch me, JJ Outlaw, at JJ Outlaw on Twitter. Made it easy for you. You can catch me also on the Instagram at Gourmet Goober. We're on Facebook, if you want to be on Facebook, at the Gourmet Goober blog. And every week, we start every episode by me saying hello to my hubby, my BFF, that dude. I've run out of ways to say it. The Dark Desperado, I think I'm contractually obligated to mention that now because we're still in the middle of a pandemic. T Outlaw, woohoo! AKA Big Daddy. How's it going?
It is going well. Hi, kids. You can find me, T Outlaw, on social media at Twitter, at T Outlaw, TOUTLAW, and on Instagram at T Outlaw Josie Wells, like the movie.
Fantastic. And I know that I mentioned the whole Gourmet Goober blog is part of Facebook. Da, 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 da. And the reason why I did that with my cheesy opening is the Gourmet Goober podcast, which will now be entering its third year sometime next month, just as a heads up. So we got to get a cake for that. We always get a cake. But the Gourmet Goober started off as a food blog. And this week we have a very special birthday as the Gourmet Goober is officially turning 9 years old, thegourmetgoober.com. Can you believe it? 9 years old, dude.
It has been a long time.
Yes. So we started back in 2013, just to give you guys a heads up. Speaking of which, shout out to all my new listeners who, we've been getting a lot of downloads, by the way, which is really cool because a lot of our downloads are from international audience as well. So bonjour to all of our listeners in France. And hell, we got like a ton of listeners from Ireland too.
Yes, we did.
Isn't that awesome?
Unexpected, we'll say that.
Yes. So for all of you guys in Leicester, I think that's how you pronounce it. Hello. Top of the morning to you, or whenever you're listening.
Ta-ta.
But yeah, before we became a podcast, the Gourmet Goober was a blog. I started in 2013. We called it the Gourmet Goober, just as an FYI for all you newbies out there. It was based on a nickname that my dad gave me years ago. My father, who is an amazing cook, was the one who taught me how to cook as well as my siblings. And we took turns with him in the kitchen, and my mom was like doing other things, or my mom worked nights. So my dad's was the one who made a lot of the dinner. And it was kind of customary when it was our turn to do, like our turn in the kitchen with my dad, he would call us by our nickname. So my given nickname was the Gourmet Goober, and kind of stuck. And when I started the blog years ago, it was just a way it was just a way for me to kind of teach myself HTML and to kind of have like a central place to share my recipes that I've learned over the years because I really love cooking. Got it from my daddy. But also because at the time that I started it, if you recall, we were living in Chicago in the suburbs, and then we moved across the border, still in Chicagoland, but the stretch of Chicagoland in northwest Indiana.
Yeah, the region.
Yes. And at the time, all of my foodie friends were like, oh my God, what are you going to do? Do they even have fine restaurants? Are we going to be able to hang out? And what I find is, even though the region isn't really known for their fine dining, they have like a ton of places that I have found, and I've met some incredible foodies, and it's really kind of a neat community that has tightened over the years. It wasn't so, it was kind of non-existent when we started years and years ago, but it's really grown over the years, where people are more vocal about it. But yeah, I just wanted a place that I could, teach myself HTML, customize a Tumblr, because we started off with a Tumblr blog, Tumblr theme, and, if I could share a picture of my aunt's chicken and waffle recipe, or your mother's Italian beef recipe, which still I get a lot of questions about from the old readers. They love that recipe from your mom, by the way. It kind of gave me a place to do it. But honestly, and we talked about this off mic, right? Because I don't want this to just me running my mouth, but what we found was that it kind of changed the trajectory of my life in terms of my job.
It did.
Because at that time, I was really working in a non-creative space. I was working in sales, of all things. And what I found was, when I was working in sales, that I wasn't really happy with it. I was good at it, but, sadly, there was a lot of people that aren't always on the up and up when they do things for sales. And I didn't want to be one of those people. I used to tell you all the time I didn't want to go to hell to make a commission.
Right.
And when I started it, I just sort of took a break as I was trying to figure out what I was going to do in my career. And when I started the blog, oh my gosh, my life totally changed. The blog caused me to get discovered by a foodie-based startup, which sadly is no longer in business, but it was called Dish Crawl. You guys may have experienced it because it once was throughout the United States and overseas as well, where it was customized food tours. And I was named a Dish Crawl brand ambassador. And I had an opportunity from there to, make strides and be on television and be on the radio and be featured in articles. And yeah, it was kind of a crazy ride, right?
There it was.
And then from there, I was able to parlay that into a writing career. So writing for magazines like East Coast Home and Design and W to W Magazine, it's really been a blessing that just started with me posting recipes. So for those of you who have been part of the journey, oh my gosh, Big Daddy and I, we just want to take an opportunity, first of all, to say thank you for those of you who've been with us from the beginning. It's just been an unbelievable blessing, and I am tremendously grateful for the opportunities that this experience has afforded us. And about 3 years ago, we decided that the future of the Gourmet Goober brand, we really want to do something more than just focus on local things in Chicagoland, although there's so much to do. So that's what led to us creating the podcast. And the podcast is heard in over 30 countries, and it's just insane. All of the ways that we're really growing, and we're just getting started. So this is me just saying thank you to everybody who helped us grow and help make this possible. I'm just filled with a lot of gratitude and awe that what we have done so far and the plans that we can't share yet, but the plans that are coming. So yeah, just wanted to start off our segment just going into that. I'm sure you have some thoughts as well.
To the best of my knowledge, I mean, I enjoyed the journey from the blog and like the different places we went to. Like, I know we did we went to a place, I believe it was Hog Fight.
Oh yeah, the Hog Fight where we had like that. We were like, somehow we wound up being like guests, like judges at this big, what was it, like a barbecue fest?
Yes.
Where people came from all over the Midwest.
And displayed their wares.
And that was insane.
Yes, it was. I also remember going to a couple openings of Fogo de Chao, which meant like free stuff, or discounted stuff, but like, at least for us, but like
no, it was
the
free.
reinvention of Meat Sweats.
Oh, that was free.
Yeah.
Free bowl of bacon.
I enjoyed that very much.
Although we were puzzled by that. Yeah, remember that like weird place that we went to where we found ourselves in a Mardi Gras parade led by Pac-Man?
Oh, it was it was in Schaumburg, right?
Yes.
It was like level 287.
Right. It used to be like this like adult. It was kind of like
Dave and Buster's on like super crack.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. Dave and Buster's on crack. It's no longer with us though. It was sponsored by Nintendo, and they had like this midnight Mardi Gras themed party that they invited some bloggers and people from the area to go to. And yeah, we were wound up in a Congo line led by Pac-Man. In fact, you know what? The funny thing is, I think that was one of the first time that we recorded a Gourmet Goober podcast. We had some test runs that we call Goober Bites. I'm trying to post them so you guys can hear them. They're really bad. I didn't know anything about audio production or mics or anything right then. We did it on our phones. But that was us driving home after that insane experience. And I listened to it the other day and it was hilarious.
But it was fun.
Yes. I just want to thank all the great restaurants and people who partner with us. Some who unfortunately are no longer in the Chicagoland area, like Season 52. Again, we mentioned Dish Crawl and some of the great places that we were able to do foodie crawls, like in Crown Point, Indiana. We led a mega one in Chicago and West Loop. We had a great experience in Valparaiso. That was my first experience. The people at the Post Tribune who's really been supportive of us when I was doing that and did a great feature on us back then. Vocalo.org, which is tied with WBEZ, one of the major Chicago affiliates of NPR in the area. Yeah, all of those have just been an amazing partner, both in the blog and some of the foodie exploits that we had tied to it. So, yeah. But I just wanted to dive in that first and foremost because, yeah, it's kind of a big deal. You know, we celebrate the fact that we're still podcasting because, you know, many podcasts don't get off. What was it, like the 7th episode?
Yeah, somewhere between 7 and 10 episodes is about the initial run of most podcasters.
And this will be episode number 57, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all things being equal, hell of a run. And I'm just really grateful. So, now that we got that out the way, a little bit of housekeeping. Oh, did we want to read our 5-star review?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Oh, before we dive into the other part, I think we've mentioned on a previous podcast that we're really grateful for people who share about the Gourmet Goober and rank us, because that's a great way for us to grow as an organization. So, yeah, you can totally support us by, you know, buying Goober swag. In fact, just a side note, really appreciate if you do. There's a link in the show notes. Mugs, aprons, we gotcha. But you can also support our show just by giving a 5-star review on not Amazon, Apple. And we got a 5-star review. And what we decided to do, and we also mentioned it on the previous podcast, is whenever we get these type of reviews, we'll thank the person on air and share the review. As long as it's nice. I mean, if you write a review and talk about, you know, my mother's sister's nephew's cousin, you know, I'm not saying we're going to lay hands, but I'm just saying we may not read your review then. But ordinarily, we would just share the review if necessary. And this is not my policy. This is a policy. What was it? The Black Guy?
The Black Guy Who Tips podcast?
Yeah, Rod and Karen came up with that.
Yeah.
As well as the interracial John. So we got a review from Roland Hendrick. So thank you, Roland. And he said that the Gourmet Goober were a great show. He really enjoyed all the episodes. Thank goodness for the Gourmet Goober, and thank you. So, yeah. We should come up with, like, some music or something. I know the interracial John plays, like, the theme song to Rocky, but we don't have Rocky money yet.
No.
You know, that I don't even know if we have to pay for that a little bit.
No, I will wait for the public domain. I'd rather, like, tap on bongos. And...
Well, what did you do before when we were talking about it? You made this, like, fun sound like, 5-star!
I'm sorry, what was that again?
I think it was, like, 5-star.
I thought you said it was too loud.
Well, no, you did it too. I didn't take it out in post. I said it was too loud, like, up against the mic. You can still do it.
Yeah, I think the only one I had was 5-star.
See, that works.
Stars of 5. 5-star. I gotta work on it.
Yeah, I think so. So, outside of our birthday, Big Daddy, how was your week?
For the most part, my week was good. The only thing that bothered me, because I always have a riff, is I've discovered, like, the biggest thing now is, of course, everything is in shortage. And the thing that bothers me now is, man, you go to get things and, like, potato chips, whether it be anything in a bag or Gatorade bottles, and, you know, we learned about shrinkflation, which is like, you get the same bag, you basically get less chips, but you're still paying the same thing. Or you get Gatorade bottles that seem to be a little thinner. Like, every single time I pick up a Gatorade bottle, I'm getting, like, different shapes or, you know, slimmer designs, but I'm still paying the same amount. Shrinkflation is a thing.
Okay. Well, I know what you're saying. Was it Or are you referring to that article that we read? I think it was in BuzzFeed, where it talks about shrinkflation, which they define as the process that items are shrinking in quantity or size. They may even reformulate or reduce the quality, but they keep the prices the same.
Correct.
And it's kind of like what you said, where you go and get a bag of chips and you open it up and it's mostly air. Or my personal favorite is they will redo the bottle of Gatorade, which they claim is to make it easier to pick up, but there's less in the bottle. And so they keep the prices the same or even raise the price. It's interesting you said that, because Food and Wine actually did a recent article about this where, downsizing products have been going on for decades, but it's really kind of hit home because of all of what's going on. So, for example, they mentioned putting in, I think, what was it, like 5 fewer Doritos?
5 fewer Doritos.
So they will charge you the same amount or even more, but they remove 5 Doritos.
So basically I'm paying for crumbs.
Pretty much. So Frito-Lay confirmed that they dropped the weight of bags from 9.75 ounces to 9.25 ounces. And so they said, we just took a little bit out of each bag so we can give you the same price and you keep enjoying your chips. Now, this is actually crazy because Wheat Thins, and this is where it got it in our conversation, remember? Because Big Daddy loves Wheat Thins, right? That's like your thing.
Yeah, it's an easy work snack.
And outside of that, we, okay, it's kind of weird, but our cat likes Wheat Thins too. I haven't figured that out, why our cat eats crackers. It's sort of weird, and he leaves cracker crumbs in my bed, which is even weirder, but we won't go into that. So anyway, Wheat Thins, they have actually shrunk the packaging. So a family-sized box of Wheat Thins used to be around 16 ounces, right?
Right.
Well, they dropped it to 14 ounces. Now, in their mind, they just took out 28 fewer crackers. But that's like 2 ounces and drop in size, right? And they still charge the exact same. That's messed up.
That is.
And they're not alone. So the Food and Wine article, which I'll put in the show notes, they have everything from like Keebler chips with M&Ms. They dropped it from 11.3 ounces to 9.75 ounces. Sun-made raisins, which I guess you don't care because you hate raisins anyway.
That's true. I don't like raisins. Never liked them. Please don't put it in your potato salad either.
Well, don't do that anyway, even if I like raisins, but don't do that to me. But they dropped their size of raisins from 22.58 ounces to 20 ounces. And then Gatorade went from 32 fluid ounces to 28 fluid ounces.
Yeah, I don't quite understand why that is a thing, but I mean, so basically they're just putting the same, quality of stuff in volume-wise, or a little smaller, and they think we're not going to notice. I'm shocked.
Well, here's the thing. In Gatorade's case, because every time they shrink it, what they do is they redesign the bottle. And they do it like, oh, well, we're just making it so it's easy for you to grab, right? But essentially, their justification is even though you're getting less, you're paying for the package's redesign.
I'll pour it out the bottle into a cup.
I mean...
And we'll avoid the, the name pricing.
This is something that no one had asked for.
No, I don't. There's no reason for that. I mean, I'll find generic Gatorade for that.
What is generic Gatorade?
I don't know. I'm sure there are a bunch of different sports drinks on the market.
Huh.
I'm sure there's knockoff Gatorade somewhere.
Is it like Crocodile Aid or something?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Like, it would be like Powerade or like Haterade.
Haterade.
That should pretty much be mine because I'm nothing but Haterade.
I vote for Haterade. That would actually be great.
Cool.
We could make, what was like Dave Chappelle's character at the Haters Ball? He could be like their mascot.
That's right. I give nothing but credence to. I think I should start my own brand of Haterade. They have Haterade T-shirts. I should buy one. I'm a huge fan, but yeah, that was basically my week. What about you?
Well, my week, I've been busy with personal projects that I alluded to earlier, again, tied to the Gourmet Goober. So hopefully we'll have something really cool to announce very, very soon. In preparation for that, I got a new printer because we're hopefully going to have some contracts and things, and we kind of need a printer. I spent like a weird amount of time hunting down wheat bread for you, which of all things is weird because you would think that, we live in a state that's pretty much surrounded by farmland. You would think getting wheat bread would be easy to get. Well, what I learned was, oddly enough, what's going on overseas with the war, sadly, that's going on in Ukraine.
The test exercise that Russia is perpetuating.
Yeah, that we know is not the case. Still thinking of the people in Ukraine, but apparently a third of the wheat that we consume is provided by that area in Russia. Did you know that?
No, I had no clue.
So it's kind of insane, right? Because what's happening is that we are experiencing higher prices, and as a result, because I've even read that Russia is blocking shipment of the grain to us, I saw like a loaf of wheat bread that was almost $4 a loaf.
I'm shocked by that. I mean, I didn't know that there was a lot of wheat that, sat around in the Russian lands.
Apparently there is. Who knew, right?
Yeah, I thought it was just stuff that people made in, like, bread makers.
Well, if we keep going, that's exactly what we're going to do. Although you do not want me to make... The reason why we don't have a bread machine is it kind of ended badly for me. Like, there was a lot of bread that was consumed. My waistline didn't approve.
So it was because you basically were getting high on your own supply.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like Oprah. When Oprah had that commercial that said she loves bread. That's me.
No, you should do it like Oprah does it. Like...
I love bread.
Exactly.
Wait a minute. You would do the impression. You did the impression better than I do.
No, I really didn't. I'm not going to do Oprah because I fear the repercussions.
You're afraid of Oprah, but last episode you sent the Russian bots after me.
Yes.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is love, apparently.
Yes, it is.
So, hey, look, we have a very packed second segment of What's Eating Us. So why don't we take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will talk about 3 stories that, features the intersection between food and pop culture. You are listening to the Gourmet Goober podcast, and we will be right back. Do you know who struggles with creating ideas? People who are actually creative. But do you know what really sucks about being a struggling creative? It's that frustration of starting a new skill, the unbearable phase of being stuck with new ideas, and of course, never knowing when or even how to make a profit from your ideas. You know that feeling. Being a jack of all trades but master of none? Well, the Conscious Creative Corner podcast is the podcast where real creatives share their secret formulas on how to be irresistibly profitable in their field. So that way you can be a jack of all trade and a master of your money. So if you're ready to leave behind the frustration and exhaustion of not knowing how to live profitably, head on over to the Conscious Creative Corner podcast, where you can gain the skills you need to be a successful magnetic creative. Find it now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor FM. Hey everyone, this is JJ Outlaw.
And T Outlaw.
And we are back with the next segment of the Gourmet Goober podcast. Again, this is the segment called What's Eating Us, where we discuss the intersection of food and pop culture. And as always, we have 3 stories that made us laugh, made us think, and mostly made us wanted to share with all of our audiences. This first story is one that, of course, everyone has been talking about. And of course, it deals with that ever classic part of hip hop, the diss track.
The diss track.
Yes. Now, for those of you out there who may not be familiar with what a diss track is, at its basic core, a diss track is when a rapper singles out a rival and hits them up with a lyrical takedown. And there have been some classic diss tracks over the years. My favorite happens to be Sheether, the diss track where Remy Ma savagely takes down Nicki Minaj. And of course, it's a takeoff of the classic Ether, right?
Right.
Then, of course, there's been other diss tracks like NWA versus Ice Cube. I think Biggie and Tupac put out diss tracks against each other now back in the day. And now
everybody been hit them up. Yeah.
But now, as the case may be, we will now have another rivalry to add to the epic amount of diss tracks that are out there. Arby's versus McDonald's.
She'll say what?
Exactly. Well, not just Arby's. Actually, Arby's and recording artist Pusha T.
Pusha T, the one that was like going after Drake.
Yes.
Okay. That
Pusha T, the one that, what was the story of Adion?
Yeah.
Which, if you're not familiar with that, just Google it, yo. That was a diss track for the ages. Well, apparently Pusha T has many talents, along with lyrically taking out, his rivals like Drake. He also, behind the scenes, have been responsible for a very popular jingle. Perhaps you've heard of it. The I'm Loving It jingle that was popularized for so many years from McDonald's.
Oh, you mean the one that was like coyly Justin Timberlake tried to sing? That one.
Da 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 da. That's right.
That one. Okay.
So apparently, it's a very popular ad campaign. It was ongoing for a long time. They mixed it and had it in different genres, as you mentioned just now. They made a ton of money from it. Well, you know who wrote that jingle? Pusha T.
Do you really?
Yeah. Apparently, an article, I think it was first reported by Rolling Stone earlier last week, Pusha T and his brother was approached by McDonald's, and they came up with the lyrics and what eventually became the jingle that was used in the ad campaign.
Okay.
Well, old boy thought that he was not financially compensated enough for McDonald's. It's kind of like a one-time payment that they did, sort of like what happened with the Nike swoosh, which again, oh my gosh, if you're not familiar with Nike and the story of the swoosh, it's insane.
It's advertising 102.
Yes. Back in the day when I studied marketing and advertising and graphic design, the number one thing that you're taught is to own your shit. And the reason why is I think the person who designed the Nike logo got paid less than $100. And how many billions of dollars did Nike make off of that swoosh? They eventually came correct and gave her, I don't know, a few rounds of stock, but that was after they made billions of dollars with the swoosh.
Probably tossed out a couple of Jordans too. Be like, here.
Exactly. Here's a little something for your records. Well, much like the creator of the Nike swoosh, Pusha T thought that he too was not paid and compensated correctly.
Yesterday's price was not today's price.
Exactly. So what he decided to do is he partnered with, of all people, Arby's, and he put out a diss track that's called Spicy Fish Diss Track. It debuted on Arby's official YouTube channel, and right off the bat, he actually, and in his lyrics, let people know that he's the reason the whole world love it. Now he has to crush it. And he goes on to particularly target the Filet-O-Fish sandwich.
The Filet-O-Fish sandwich.
Yes.
Of all things. Okay.
So, again, when Rolling Stone interviewed him, he said, you know, I'm solely responsible for the I'm Loving It song and the jingle of that company. I did it at a very young age and a young time in my career where I wasn't asking for as much money in ownership. See, like I said, always own your stuff.
Okay.
So it's something that always dug at me later in life. Like, damn it, I was a part of this and I should have more stake. It was like $500,000 or $1 million for me and my brother. But that's peanuts as long as that's been running. And I had to get that energy off me. So the ad was a perfect way to get the energy like, you know what? I'm over it. First of all, if you listen to the diss track, which is everywhere, so just Google it, you'll probably hear it. Clearly it didn't sound like he was over it.
No. No, he still got some residual feelings. We're going to say that.
He might be a wee bit salty about how he was not paid.
Got it. Yeah.
But that said, Arby's using the track to promote their own fish sandwiches, which was featured prominently in the video. So, their chief marketing officer said, once you publish a diss track, there's no backing down. It's the ultimate expression of confidence in your talent, or in this case, taste. And that's according to their chief marketing officer, Patrick Schwing. Which, by the way, if you worked in marketing, having a name like Schwing, it's actually pretty badass. I'm just saying. Our new spicy fish sandwich is better than square fish competition, and we're excited to issue this challenge. It only makes sense to partner with the Pusha T, the best diss track artist in hip-hop, to tell our story.
They used the Pusha T?
He actually said the Pusha T.
Oh my goodness.
Like the internet.
Yeah. He's like that fellow over there, the Pusha T. That fellow right there, he's quite upset.
Now, Pusha T said that I am the first ever sandwich diss ever.
The first sandwich, okay.
And I should go down in history for that. So, Big Daddy, you heard the diss track? For those of you who are longtime listeners, you know that Big Daddy is quite the aficionado.
No, I'm not.
Of hip-hop and hip-hop music. So, what do you think? Like, I mean, how do you think Pusha T's diss to McDonald's holds up over time? Compared to the other beef diss tracks that are out there.
The best way I'm going to just go through this cleanly is just to say, one, he had residual feelings. One, he did put out an authentic diss track.
Yes.
How long is it going to hold up? About as long as Pusha T's anger holds up. Yeah, I was like, yeah, he came with vibrance. We'll give him that. He threw flames.
So does it compare to Ether?
No, nothing can compare to Ether or Sheether. There's just no. There's nothing like there's no Vaseline in this one, yeah. There's no
Nice.
flame, no fire, nothing. I'm sorry, but yeah, at the same time, it's kind of the concept of we know why you mad, but at the same time, this is what you mad about. You did them a service.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing, okay? I've been noticing how other brands have been responding.
Yeah.
Like, hilariously enough, Popeyes actually retweeted the diss track and said, and like, quote the tweet, subquoted the tweet, the girls are fighting.
You know what? I've determined that Popeyes from time to time is the Mariah Carey in this.
Popeyes stay winning in social media, okay?
Yeah, they just show up and they be like, okay.
I don't know.
They're like the RuPaul. They just show up and like, yeah, y'all need to work and just walk away. Keep taking 8 checks and keep walking. I
don't know who does their social media, but seriously, their petty is on point, 1. Yeah. But then 2, here's the thing. I read, and I can't remember, it was like Forbes or, and researching for the story, but just in the past week that they dropped it, like it hadn't even been out a week yet, Arby's has received $8 million in ad worth of ad exposure.
Okay, I'll give you that.
$8 million.
$8 million is a nice, pretty good chunk of change.
So just going back to Pusha and why he's mad, I hope Arby's like reimbursed him and gave him some equity on that.
Yeah.
But here's my question. $8 million worth of ad exposure, right?
Yes.
Did they actually sell a single sandwich? Because at the end of the day, I've still got corn Arby's.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Say what?
Did they sell a sandwich? How many fish sandwiches did they sell with that?
Did Arby's sell fish sandwiches?
Yeah.
Probably none. Wait, maybe one. Wait a minute. I'm willing to say probably they paid Pusha T $8 million worth of these little fish sandwiches.
Well, no. I mean, that's how much the ad exposure was worth. It's kind of like, when when Popeye's chicken sandwich became so damn popular that we went online and told other people we should have just kept it to ourselves and we caused a shortage. Yeah. And it was like millions of dollars in ad exposure, us going online and sharing. Like, seriously, Black Twitter, we all need to collectively know when to stay quiet. We caused a sandwich shortage, right?
Yeah.
But all jokes aside, though, seriously, we have talked at length, and we're not the only one, about Arby's is not our first choice.
No.
And
they probably paid Pusha T in like Arby's coupons.
No, don't say that. Actually, Arby's makes a lot of money. Although it's hilarious.
Doing what?
Look, I'm not going to say what I think that they're used for, but I'm just saying that the parking lot is still not really full of the new Arby's they built down the street from us. So it may take a little bit more than Push's song in order to encourage people. And I wonder how much it's actually hurt McDonald's in their sale of their filet of fish. Because if you think about it, it's Lent. So this is probably their prime season.
Yeah.
In order to sell that.
Yeah. As many times as my man, dropped dime and like used the word fish fillet, people were like, oh yeah, I forgot fish fillet. And probably just drove them straight to McDonald's. Like I said, I know what Aspire is about, but I'm like, you say it so many times, I barely remember that, Arby's had dropped a sandwich.
That is
I remember,
true.
Yeah, it was nothing but...
Wait, you're right, because they did drop that. That's like built in, like, SEO. You're right.
Yeah.
Dang.
All in your mind, if for nothing else, it didn't do anything but drive people to McDonald's. For what? I don't know.
But you know what? This is actually a brilliant thing. So, what do you think it's like the next... What do you think is the next collaboration diss track in order to drive sales of sandwiches? Like, what restaurant... Like, for example, to build on the last conversation we had about McBroken, I think that Jack in the Box should do a diss track against McDonald's and their milkshake machines.
Yeah, Jack in the Box is... They stay... on in somebody's DMs.
So honestly, I would like to see a diss track from Jack in the Box. What else?
Yeah, I'm thinking Hardee's has got to be starting to wax with people.
Yeah, Hardee's would probably have a beef with a lot of people. Actually,
yeah, they
just strike me as that kind of brand.
Yeah, because I like to call Hardee's the walking Biggie Smalls of the food chain, because there's you basically go in there, you getting clogged up.
Oh, no. You know who should put out a diss track? And this is not a fast food chain.
Okay.
Hamburger Helper. Hear me out. Remember back in the day, and this ties to the food blog, when Hamburger Helper dropped the hip hop album? And we listened to it. It was actually pretty good, right?
Yeah.
They should just put out they should just do a collaboration. Now, here's my question, though. Who would be the people that they would do the diss track with? Like the only people I can think of... Oh, no. Got it. Got the perfect one.
Okay. I can see your mind matriculating here.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut myself straight thought. Remember in an earlier episode when we talked about Bone Thugs and Harmony had changed their name to Boneless Thugs and Harmony?
Oh, dear Lord. Yeah.
They should put out a diss track for other wing companies. Except Crazy Bone. I think Crazy Bone was like, he's not changing his name for anything.
Yeah.
To which I reply, hang tight, Wayne's Crazy Bone. I'm with you. But the rest of them that changed their name,
okay,
they should throw down with their own diss track.
Okay. I'm just going to let you have it. I was going to say Tyler the Creator, but yeah.
No. I'm fun to hear that.
Yeah,
So,
I'll give him that because, he seems like the most sincere. I think Kanye needs to, Ye needs to start, because he's easily ready for a diss track on everything, but we're just not sure where to guide him.
Well, I just think that's I think Arby's for opening up a new era of participation between hip hop and the fast food industry.
Are we gonna have an East Coast, West Coast beef? Are we gonna be they gonna be rolling down the street say wait a minute, is there people in the Arby's parking lot? We about to who ride? They gonna start throwing fish sandwiches up in the store.
What do the East Coast, West Coast beef look like? Is it like Whataburger, take it out, in and out?
I don't know if they got the capacity to do so, but they can try.
What Crystals
and White Castle. Also, I'd like to say for the record, it's White Castle, not White Castles. That was my mistake.
Dang it! Yes, it is. White Castle and Crystal.
Yes. North, South. Mason-Dixon line, straight up.
There we go, straight up, man.
Mm-hmm.
It can go in different genres of different food, too. So, Publix in the South can take on, Kroger up north.
Okay.
Although Publix would win because they are the best grocery store in the entire world. They're awesome.
I think Kroger would like to have a discussion with you. Kroger on line 1.
Kroger has the best cakes, though. Gotta say. Well, we wish Pusha the best of luck. Hopefully he gets all his ducats for this night's track.
Yeah, we like to give you props. I ain't here to mess with PT, but all right, I'm sorry to tell you, your bars were straight up. They were tight. I like them. Same time, I think McDonald's made more money off your track than Arby's did. I'm just saying.
Well, the next story that we have, it's a little bit more down to earth in terms of the basis of the story. So it's not based on a beef, if you will.
Okay.
But I guess saying more down to earth is relative when you consider the story is about the incredible chef Jose Andres, and he is actually sending his legendary paella to space. It's specifically to feed the astronauts on the International Space Station.
Really?
Yes. So if you're familiar with Chef Jose Andres, I know I've talked about him on the show before.
He is doing the Lord's work.
He is truly doing the Lord's work. He is a chef. He's a humanitarian. You may have heard of him because he's the founder of the World's Central Kitchen. So when there is strife around the world, due to the natural disaster, due to the war, due just a whole host of things that might displace individuals, and helping situations rather that would cause food insecurity. Jose and the World Central Kitchen is there. So right now, he's actually traveled to Ukraine to help feed refugees. During the pandemic, he did a lot of great work to support local restaurants and individuals that were separated from being able to make a living due to the pandemic and their jobs closing. So again, an amazing person. Well, he actually partnered through his team at Think Food Group, and they partnered with Axiom Space to send paella and other Spanish food to the International Space Station as part of a launch that's scheduled for early next month.
Okay.
The launch, which is through Axiom Crew, is actually the first all-private crew mission to the International Space Station. So in and of itself, it's sort of a groundbreaking thing. It's 4 people that'll spend 8 days at the space station, and is led by a friend of Jose Andres, who's a veteran of NASA, Commander Michael Lopez Alegria.
Okay.
And Mr. Lopez Alegria, I apologize if I misspoke your name. My Spanish still a little rusty because I haven't used it for a while. But again, he's very close friends with him. And he actually reached out and basically wanted to challenge him, as well as Think Food Group's director of research and development, Cherise Gray, to create a project in order to create something that's sustainable, that meets NASA's guidelines for nutrients, as far as being nutrient rich, being delicious, and in this case, because of course he's of Spanish descent, he wanted to create a cuisine with bold flavors that represents his background. So the result is a family style meal. So it'll have things such as his chicken and mushroom paella, something that he's very well known for. He actually has something that's made with albarico pork with tomatoes, onions, eggplants, and peppers. He's also sending up other dishes, including Spanish jamon, for example, as well. So, according to Andres, the most important thing was changing the perception of what we grew up with. Because remember, we're of the generation where everything that went up with NASA was freeze-dried food. And
yes.
Tang, remember Tang was the drink of astronauts.
Mm-hmm.
So Jose said the most important thing was changing the perception. Let's make a paella that we can cook like a paella and taste like a paella without dehydrating it. And so he wanted to also create a meal that they'll be enjoying as a team, which I think is fascinating.
No, it is.
Because again, when we were young, and I know, didn't you actually go to like the NASA place where you saw when you were a kid, like the freeze-dried stuff that they ate?
Yeah, I made a couple of trips to Johnson Space Center. One time I went to Huntsville, Alabama to see, because I thought I was smart enough to go to space camp. I was not.
Oh.
Yeah, but I also made one trip to Cape Canaveral to see a space shuttle launch.
So this really makes a big difference. And first of all, kudos to him, because hopefully maybe this could change the way that as international space travel becomes a thing.
Yeah.
With the space station and with all the private travel that's going up, eventually it'll go to people like us and not just to billionaires who are just taking a trip around the sun.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little while before it gets to us.
Yeah, it may take a little bit of time, of course. But the idea that they're changing the way the food is consumed up there, I think is amazing.
Yeah.
So, first of all, what are your thoughts on that? And if you had a chance to plan your own meal up there, what sort of things would you like to see go up there next after the paella?
Well, okay. I guess my first thought would be I'm Jose Andres, once again, is outdone himself. I give him nothing but kudos for what he has brought to him, because it's like, it's bringing them flavor into space. And I mean, I'm intrigued to see how the effects of having paella in space will do to the bodies and minds of the people that are up there, because it's almost like an experiment within itself. Everything that's up there has a cause and effect. And I'm intrigued to see how paella, how it is consumed in space, and like the effect it will have on the bodies of the people. One, but two, I guess the second part of your question is like, what things do I like to send up there? Okay, first and foremost, me being me. I'm sorry, I gotta be me. I could be nice and say, yeah, I would love to send them up there, like, nice things to steak. But me being me, once again, how much can I send, a couple boxes of ribs up there? Wait a minute. More importantly, can I send them some Magic City wings?
Oh my God, how did I know you were going to say Magic City wings?
Yeah, you can see like the little mouse on the hamster wheel in my head saying, I'm walking right up to I'm sending them up some Magic City wings.
So wait a minute, you're going to send up some lemon pepper loos up there?
Yes, I'm sending some lemon pepper loos up there. Now you're going to have a whole bunch of, flats and drums, like, floating around. You're going to see all these bones flying around, like, the International Space Center. Like, yeah, let's see you get rid of that, one. But two, since they experimented with Tang, can we send them some Kool-Aid up there, too?
Okay. Two thoughts. One, that is probably the most hood answer I've ever heard you say. And two, in reflection to our previous story about owning your stuff, I really hope Lou Williams got some kind of equity for the lemon pepper Lou that gets sold from Magic City. Because think about how much money they made off of that story.
Now, Lou Williams wants to thank us. He can send us another package. See, I'm down for the equity too, since I'm promoting you.
Well, technically, you're promoting Magic City.
That's okay. If Magic City would like to send me another box of wings, or a bag of wings at least, I'm willing to listen.
You know what? I can order you some wings. It's just off of Goldbelly.
I'm trying to get a hookup.
Can I just say, as a side note, how awesome as a wife am I? How awesome a wife am I that for your anniversary present, I got you wings from a strip club.
It was an entertainment club. Male adult entertainment club.
Okay, if you guys are new listeners, Magic City is a very well known
adult entertainment club in Atlanta.
It's a very well known establishment in Atlanta. But believe it or not, they're actually nationally renowned for their wings. And I ordered their wings off of Goldbelly for an anniversary present.
Yes.
Because I'm like, well, what do I give the foodie who's had everything? Of course, stripper wings.
Stripper wings. And once again, me personally, I would like to say bless you. Because those were some excellent, delicious wings.
First of all, best wings I've ever had in my life. Let me just say that one. And let me just say, they came frozen and we had to reheat them up and they were still amazing. And then two, hearing from your coworkers about how they thought you were married to a badass because I gave you stripper wings for an anniversary present.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. There were some people I told about it, and I was like, hey, I thought it was smooth. But when my boss told me they were cool, I was like, wait a minute, hold on, player. This is when we got shut down all social media. We can't have this. I was like, hey, that's TMI. We need to back that up. But yeah, it was nice, very nice. But yes, so I would like to bless the people of the International Space Station with some lemon pepper loos, some flats, and some plats, and some drums, and make that happen.
Well, I guess mine is a little less audacious. Honestly, when I was thinking about a practical meal that I can send up there, my first thought immediately was the croque monsieur sandwich.
The croque monsieur?
At Tony's Patisserie in Chicago. First of all, again, I cannot say this enough. That sandwich is amazing.
The Goober is a big fan.
And I figured that the way that they're put together, it would be an easy and practical thing to be able to reheat and eat, and it won't be messy. Now, the other thing I was thinking about would probably be hella messy, but if I'm stuck on the space station for months at a time, I would want some Garrett's popcorn.
Okay, so how's that going to work?
I don't know, and I haven't figured that out yet, because my fear would be, it's kind of like that scene from The Simpsons, where Homer Simpson's in space, right? And he smuggled on a bag of chips that he rips open, and the chips go flying everywhere because they have no gravity. And they're like, oh my gosh, our instruments. And he does this hilarious segue into where he's eating all the chips and spinning around in space, floating, so that the chips don't destroy the equipment in the spaceship. I kind of envision, now that I think about it, the impracticality of bringing Garrett's popcorn and having the cheese and the caramel float by. But on the other hand, that would be kind of awesome too. So
that would be entertaining. I agree.
Oh, goodness. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that cough. My goodness.
I enjoy it.
But anyway, yeah, obviously bringing up Garrett's popcorn would be impractical, but hey, if you're going to be stuck in the space station, you could do better. I'm just saying the combination does sound divine.
I agree.
You know, one thing I would not take on the space station, though? This new collaboration that's coming out from Pepsi Cola and, of all companies, IHOP. Have you heard of this?
I think I brought the story to the table.
But anyway, you guys, this is insane. So, Pepsi Cola and IHOP, as in the International House of Pancakes, they are partnering on a collaboration as well. Not as highbrow as what Jose Andres is doing with the International Space Station. No, instead, IHOP and Pepsi have created a maple syrup cola.
Maple syrup cola.
Yes. So Pepsi, as you know, has been known for coming out with really unique limited edition flavors. So you may recall Pepsi Peeps. Apparently there was an apple pie flavored Pepsi that they came out with. But now they've decided to take it for a whole new heights, according to foodandwine.com, where now they're taking their inspiration from, of all things, pancakes.
Pancakes.
Yes. So right now they are looking to release a limited edition. I think there's only like 2,000 people. 2,000 cans will be issued. But it's a collaboration with IHOP called Pepsi Maple Syrup Cola. So, get this. When you're talking about limited edition, I'm talking really limited. Like I said before, only 2,000 cans will be issued. It won't be available in any IHOP. You won't be able to buy it, but instead, to get your hands on one, from now until March 29th, soda lovers are being asked to use either Instagram or Twitter to post either a photo or video of a stack of pancakes, tagging IHOP, and using the hashtag show us your stack and hashtag Pepsi sweepstakes. So 2,000 winners will receive a can, with Pepsi explaining that one winner in particular will be surprised with what is known as a custom Pepsi spout. So it's inspired by the iconic IHOP Spouts pitchers that will produce the perfect pour to enjoy Pepsi Maple Syrup Cola. Now, as for the cola itself, you might be wondering, what exactly does maple syrup cola taste like? Well, apparently there's no real maple syrup in it, but instead, Pepsi's describing this as quote-unquote the indulgent flavor profile of maple syrup with the crisp, refreshing caramel notes of a Pepsi. So, what do you think? Would you try a can of Pepsi maple syrup?
Okay. I, as the person amongst the two of us that is the consumer of Pepsi from way, way back, my mother got me started on this. I I freely admit I would try it. I would probably be one of those people that would probably want to be one of the 2,000 that would try it out. And I know we had talked about like a little earlier about being one of the, like one of those people that would probably like grab it if they were able to get so like, an influencer and then like stick it on eBay somewhere. But yeah, I would actually try it just to see, because I know we, like last episode, we tried Space Coke or whatever it was.
Coca-Cola Starlight.
That's right.
Space Coke.
Space Coke. Yeah, take that up to the International Space Station.
Cosmic soda.
Right. So yeah, I would try it. Now, granted, in my life, I don't think I really even tried maple syrup until I was like in my mid-20s. Like, growing up, like, I always had, like, Aunt Jemima, Mrs. Butterworth, generic type, flavored syrup. So all I knew was that. But yeah, I'd be willing to try it. Now, granted, yeah, I really like my Pepsis. Very generic, but I'll be willing to try it once.
Well, my answer may surprise you because, again, I'm usually the one of the two of us is usually the fearless, I'll try any food once kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would not try it. I have a very distinct reason why.
Fair. Okay, explain.
Going back to what you said before about the difference between pure maple syrup and the stuff that many of us grew up on, right? The Mrs. Butterworths and some of the other ones that have maple flavoring, but it's not maple syrup, which has a different texture than what is in the normal can that they sell in the grocery store. I don't know if you've ever had this experience. Unfortunately, I have. Where years and years ago in summer camp, I was actually dared to chug some of, I think it was Mrs. Butterworth from the bottle. And let me tell you, that was an experience I would not like to repeat. First of all, the consistency and the viscosity of the syrup, it's literally like chugging motor oil, I imagine. It has that still weird thickness to it.
Okay.
And then it was almost sickeningly sweet. Now, obviously, maple syrup is different than the stuff that they gave. And I'm sure over time, they've changed the formula many, many times since I was in orchestra camp back in the day. But all I can think of is when I read the article about the soda and prepping for the story was just the trauma of having to chug that and imagine that carbonated. Yeah, I just don't think I can. I can't. And kudos to them for being creative. Especially the can. The can, I think, is really brilliant. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the can, but it looks like there's syrup that's coming down the can.
Yeah.
So it's like a stack of pancakes. That's actually pretty smart. But is it for me? I'm going to have to say no. That said, just as a side note, Pepsi recently came out with a Nitro Pepsi, which you and I did try yesterday.
We did.
And actually, it was really, really good. It sort of had a creamy smoothness that you would most likely find with like an A&W, like cream soda or something along those lines. Because we tried the vanilla one. There's also like a plain one with more traditional Pepsi flavor.
Yeah.
And I happily tried that, and I was really pleasantly surprised. But I'm gonna have to leave. I tell you what, let's just try it and see if we get our own can. If we get a can, we'll share it with you guys on the radio so we can try it. But outside of that, just the idea of drinking carbonated anything that comes close to syrup, no, I'm traumatized, and I think it's gonna stay in that area.
Oh, I'll definitely try it. I'm gonna need a couple insulin shots extra before I start to consider it.
Exactly. But you know what? You did bring up a really good point in your answer. I think the real winner here especially since IHOP is not going to get to serve it. Like, they were very adamant in this article from Food and Wine magazine. They actually asked, like, hey, is this going to be served at IHOP at some point? And the spokesperson reaffirmed that it's a definite no.
That was a hard no.
It was a real hard no. So, obviously, IHOP is not going to benefit from driving people over to their restaurants in order to try this. So I think the real winner in this scenario, in this marketing collaboration, would probably be eBay. Because if they're only releasing 2,000, if a person gets their hands on it, odds are they'll probably take a couple pictures for the gram before posting it on eBay.
Yeah.
And reaping the financial rewards of selling to someone who really wants to try it.
But I will not be that person.
Yes. eBay will be the real winner.
Even though if you put it on eBay and somebody buys it, puts money into it, do you just put it up on a shelf and look at it, or do you just say, hey, I'm going to try it?
I think it depends on the person. Like, for example, when Pringles several years ago, remember when they came out with that top ramen flavored Pringles that they only had at certain Family Dollars? And I admit, I went looking for that because secretly, I actually like top ramen. Now, I prefer the ramen you get in restaurants. But occasionally, add an egg and some kale or whatever to some top ramen. Top it off maybe with some peanut butter and sriracha and soy sauce, and you got yourself a really tasty treat. So the idea of having Pringles, and I hate Pringles, but I wanted to try it. I looked everywhere for that, and I finally looked on eBay, and people were selling those, I think, wasn't it like $20 a can or more? It was like something ridiculous like that. I remember showing it to you.
Now I'm thinking I should have bought you a can because it was $20.
Yeah.
Okay, I would drop 20 bones for it as opposed to spending all this gas money going to look for it.
Yeah, but seriously, from $1.99, which a typical Pringles can would actually cost, to $20, that's quite a markup. And that's at the cheaper end. I did see more expensive cans because, again, some people want to collect it just for they have it. So I imagine some people would eat it, but then it's like, remember those Orbitz bottles of soda where the stuff was floating in the soda?
Yes.
And I know people bought them all the time. They had no desire to consume them. They just wanted to put it on their desk. So it could very well be like that as well, going back to what you said, where I imagine if you pay $1,000 for a can, which I could honestly see the can going for, if you're on that end, you're probably not going to drink it. You're just going to keep it to say you have it.
Yeah, I would almost see, okay. I feel, I'm conflicted about people who buy things that are perishable and then literally sit there and put them up for on an eBay site or that are collectors of this, and then literally have them in spaces but will never open them because it's oh, we have this novelty. Well, by the time someone actually gets the bravado to actually open it, it's worthless.
Big Daddy, you have a can of Goobers that I got you years ago.
And how much did you pay for it?
I think it was a couple bucks. And you never opened it. It was just to say you have a can of Goobers. It's an actual drink.
Yes, it is an actual drink.
Now, I would pray that you wouldn't open it now because you've had it for what?
3 times over.
Yeah, you've had it for what? Almost 13 years.
A little more than 13 years.
But that would be a perfect example of having something just for the novelty of it.
Yeah, and I learned my lesson. I'm there are certain things that, I have bought, I fully admit one of the random things that we used to get, working for certain organizations is that you get payola. And they, some promotional gifts, swags and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That reporters would get, and they would send you promotional gifts. And, of course, there were things that we would take because, reporters are not supposed to, keep those things. in terms of getting favorable reviews.
Stop. Are you able to tell this story?
I'm not telling them all of what we got.
Okay.
But, when they were sending you promotional stuff, such as, free Wheaties boxes, with, certain athletes on them.
Right.
And some of them would have, actual, a lot of them have Wheaties in them. And we would be like, oh, we have these Wheaties boxes. But none of us would ever, open the box and eat the Wheaties. And I'm thinking in my head at a certain point, late night, you get hungry. Now, granted, I'm not a fan of Wheaties, but at the same time, I'm like, if you get hungry enough, one night, you be like, them Wheaties about to get, that box is about to get open.
So wait a minute, did they just leave the box of Wheaties in the office?
Most of the time, yeah. Now,
that may be why Tribune Tower had those ginormous rats and other things there. They knew where to find the food.
No, there were a lot bigger problems in that tower. And thank you for telling people where I work.
Oh. Sorry. Oh, God. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Mm.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Well, technically, you're not there now.
Technically, no. The building is not used for the purpose in which it is used for. But at the same time, yes, it's the boxes of Wheaties and or other products, special types of Big League Chew or whatever we would have, and we would just be looking at them like, oh, you came out with this, or, came out with that, and we would just kind of look at them because they were collectible items, but yeah, we would never open them because we were like, oh, maybe we'll put them on eBay one day, and we just never did. Matter of fact, I think I still have a box somewhere. Maybe. It might be in my desk. I don't know.
You haven't seen your desk in a while.
Yeah, that's why I probably shouldn't go look for it.
So anyway, yes, good luck to all of you who are trying the maple syrup Pepsi. If you happen to get your hands on one, let us know what it tastes like. We're kind of curious. I tell you what, now is probably a good time to take a break. And again, I'm sorry I slipped up there. But when we come back, we'll end the show as we always do, sharing the best thing that we ate this week. You're listening to the Gourmet Goober podcast, and we will be right back. Hey guys, this is JJ Outlaw.
And T Outlaw.
And we're the co-hosts with the Gourmet Goober podcast with a very important question.
Are you a little gourmet or a lot ratchet?
Or maybe you consider yourself gumbo worthy. Hey, if the answer is yes to any of those questions, then you need to tell the world with your very own Goober swag. From mugs and aprons to t-shirts and sweatshirts, it's the perfect way to show your love for the Gourmet Goober podcast and, help us keep the lights on in the process. So if you are a little bit gourmet and a lot ratchet, head on over to gooberswag.com, that's gooberswag.com, and get your very own Goober gear today. Tell them Big Daddy sent you.
That's right. Tell them.
Hey everyone, this is JJ Outlaw.
Hi, it's T Outlaw.
And we are back with the last segment of the Gourmet Goober podcast, where we share the best thing we ate this week. So no matter if it's from your favorite restaurant, a hole in the wall, a franchise, maybe a recipe that we have fallen in love with, we want to share our contributions and yours as well about, the really great things that is out there to grub on. As always, we want to invite you to give your contribution. And if you want to share the best thing you ate this week, drop us a line at thegourmetgoober@gmail.com. Again, that is thegourmetgoober@gmail.com. And maybe we will read your contribution like we're doing today on today's show. So, Big Daddy, let's get started with you. As always, what is the best thing that you had since the last podcast?
The best thing I had, nice and quickly, is I know that we may have spoken about this on a previous episode, but it's one of my favorite little hole-in-wall spots. It's this place called Steel City Cheesesteaks, which is on the west side of my hometown, which is Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana.
GI.
GI. My favorite spot to get cheesesteaks when I'm in a rut. I just need to run over there, grab a couple of, and they make a whole bunch of different types of steaks and sandwiches. But it was my favorite spot. Hit it up real quick. Got a couple of cheesesteaks. Got back home. Was able to get them down really quickly. I was a big fan. One. Still see cheesesteaks, west side Gary. I think it's just off of Chase Street. But I did have one thing I just wanted to add. I remember I was watching a documentary this weekend on just various contributions that African Americans have contributed and or women. But I remember there was a story in reference to Amanda Seales, who I am holistically afraid of because his girlfriend is real, and I mean like super real. I know she relayed this story once about she was in a spot and she was talking about having a BLT sandwich.
Oh, is that when she told the joke about it and she got the notes back saying that it should... The producer of the show she was on gave her a note, right?
Correct. It was a note that a note in reference to how to bump up the story. And it referenced the fact that the BLT was a good sandwich, but they were really looking for a blacker sandwich.
And we died laughing, right? Because we're like, dude, what the hell is a blacker sandwich?
Yeah, I'm like, I know you want to punch it up, but what's exactly would be a blacker sandwich? I mean, a BLT is a BLT. It's a universal sandwich. But I'm like, what exactly is a blacker sandwich? And I asked myself, and I submit to you, the audience, what exactly would be a blacker sandwich? I mean, there's still see cheesesteaks, because it's cheesesteaks. I mean, it's not like Philly cheesesteaks, but they're good cheesesteaks. Or, you go and you get, because I know I've been to a lot of places that have cheesesteaks and lemonade, but I mean, it's just cheesesteaks. Or, you go get a couple chicken sandwiches. They're just random chicken sandwiches. Not to be a stereotype, but my question is, what's exactly would be a blacker sandwich? A blacker, what is it, hooder sandwiches? That's my question.
Okay, well, first of all, going back to your choice for the best thing you ate this week.
Yeah.
Really love the cheesesteaks over at Steel City Cheesesteaks. It's probably one of my favorite places too, right? They give a lot of different options, and their foot long, their large sandwich is longer than a foot long, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's insane. We couldn't fit it all in their oven to reheat it. That said, I would say the Philly cheesesteak over at what's his name is hella black, because they sorry, I'm not sure why this is happening. My phone just did something weird. But the Philly cheesesteak over there, well, they're hella black in general over there.
Yes, I'll be willing to submit. Yes, they are quite black.
In terms of getting the sandwiches on CPT. But they're worth waiting for. Seriously. It's just one of those things that it doesn't matter where you place an order or anything. You're going to have to wait.
That's with everything.
I don't know, though. What would be a blacker sandwich than the Philly cheesesteak? Well, I know Arby's is trying to say the sandwich from Pusha T is hella black. Or their fish sandwich, but I would not name that as one of the...
No, it wouldn't be a blacker sandwich, because the only way it would be blacker is you burn it, which Arby's can do.
I'm just confused confused by that note, though, what they meant when they told her that to Amanda. I mean, would it be a chicken sandwich? I mean, I'm just thinking in terms of stereotype and us and fried chicken.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid the stereotype, but yeah, like...
What are your thoughts on that, since you brought it up?
Well, I know we had talked about, reference to, steaks or fish, or, of course, like I said, I was trying to avoid the stereotype of the chicken.
Well, no. The whole thing about the blacker sandwich is built on the stereotype. So right. Go free, because that's probably what he was thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking, like, what exactly are you asking for? Like, a ghetto version of a McRib?
Well, I honestly don't know. Yeah, I know we laughed at it for like a good 15 minutes.
Yeah, I once again, I would like to hand out to the audience of questioning what exactly would be the most serious thing. I'm like, the only thing I think of is like going someplace and getting a pork chop sandwich. I just cannot submit a good, valid answer to a question of what would be a true blacker sandwich. I mean, like, I know that there are, sandwiches that are charred really deeply. That's the only thing I can think of is...
No, that's like a black in sandwich.
Hey, they asked for a blacker sandwich. That's the closest I'm going to get.
Having grown up against, the food down in New Orleans as a child, I could say that's very different.
No, I truly am perplexed trying to answer what would be a good answer for a blackened sandwich other than like a really hard fried pork chop sandwich.
The only thing I can think of is, remember that place that we went to when we visited Indianapolis? And they had the deep fried lobster sandwich. At that one place that we wound up waiting for like 30 minutes or 45 minutes to get our food.
Yeah, I want to say it was like a King's Fish or someplace like that. Your brother knows it better than I do.
Either that or going back to the pork chop sandwich, that delicious greasy pork chop sandwich that you get at what's his name in, Bridgeport. What's the name of that place in Bridgeport we get the sandwich from?
I want to reference it being like, I want to say Maxwell's, like a hot dog place.
Right. There's a place in Bridgeport that it's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They only take cash. Right. I'll put it in the show notes. It's Bridgeport being a neighborhood in Chicago.
Just outside where the White Sox play.
Yeah. Literally within driving distance of the White Sox stadium. Right. But this little place is open, like I said, 24/7, 364. I think they close on Christmas Eve and reopen the day after Christmas, right? But let me tell you, baby, they have this like pork chop sandwich. They keep the bone on it, right? So you got to be careful when you bite into it. But they like top it with like hot peppers and onions and mustard and you name it. It's greasy and messy, and it is one of the best things to eat. And the cool thing about it is it's relatively inexpensive. Like I think you can get it under $6, and everything they serve comes with fries, and you get like a lot of fries. So you can eat pretty much like a king for like $5 or $6 and get in a sandwich or a burger or a hot dog, and including a can of a soda. They said their prices haven't changed in, I don't know how long, but yeah, that would probably be the blackest sandwich I could think of.
Okay. I could, that's a good try, yeah. But yeah, we'll once again open it to the people if they want to respond to us on our social media. What's exactly would constitute a really good blacker sandwich? Then yeah, we'll listen to it, and maybe we'll talk about it on a future episode.
Okay, well, my choice for the best thing I ate this week is I'm passing it on to a listener who actually also gave us a heads up on that kitchen journal, which is so awesome. And it's something that I've had in the past from the Columbia restaurant in Tampa, Florida. They also have one, I think, further down in Tampa in Fort Lauderdale. But the one in Tampa is the original and the best one is in Ybor City. It is their chicken saltolito. And their chicken saltado, I'm sorry, it's saltado, it's how you pronounce it. But she actually shared her memories of going to this place. I mean, this recipe, if you've never had it before, it has chicken, it has yellow rice, the good yellow rice that, like from Vigo. It has Spanish chorizo in it. It's just, it hits all the umami notes.
Okay.
It's the reason why I like it so much. So it has onions and good olive oil and mushrooms and carrots. It has potatoes, usually diced in. She loves it because she says it's kind of like a savory wonderland every time that you bite into it, so to speak, which you gotta love that, right? Anything that's called a savory wonderland. It's definitely one of her favorite things to eat whenever she was in Florida. And she recently relocated with her family. And so someone tipped her off into how to make her own version of chicken saltado. And she was cool enough to share the recipe. How awesome is that, right?
Yeah,
so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, first of all, say thank you, Gaby. Because this thing sounds absolutely insane and easy to make. Seriously, all the stuff is things that you can get from home. I do want to make sure that you use Spanish chorizo and not Mexican chorizo, because there's two different types.
Okay.
So the Mexican chorizo is usually the soft, crumbly type, you know, like when I make a chorizo bowl. But then the Spanish chorizo is more like a solid sausage. So I'm just looking at her recipe right now, which absolutely looks divine. So I'll put it again on the gourmetgoober.com, and I'll have a link to it in our show notes. But make sure that you pick that up. Or, you know, look at the recipe. I bet you summer sausage would be perfect as an alternative.
Okay.
Now, summer sausage doesn't exactly hit the same savory notes as what you would find in good Spanish chorizo. But it comes really, really close. And you can usually find good Spanish chorizo in your deli. Or, oh gosh, what is the name of that place that we ordered meat from that was so good? Wild Fork?
Yes.
Yes. Wild Fork, we've ordered their Spanish chorizo before. It's a delivery service that just focuses on meat. So you can get everything from like chicken and more savory things, like their specialty churrasco sausage that we've gotten from them before. They have great lamb and things like that. So you can order, I think it's wildfork.com. I'll put it in the show notes as well. But I can vouch for their Spanish chorizo. It is amazing. So, Gaby, thank you so much for sharing this recipe. I'm so very excited, and thank you for being the first person to donate something that they love to eat, and they want to share it with our listeners. So, Big Daddy, I know that this has been sort of a longer than most episode, but where can they find you online?
Once again, you can find me on social media at Twitter with the drop of T Outlaw, and on Instagram at T Outlaw Chelsea Wells. What about you, Gourmet Goober?
You can catch me at JJ Outlaw. You can also hit me up at Gourmet Goober on Instagram. Always, you know that you can visit us at thegourmetgoober.com. Happy birthday to us. And drop us a line at thegourmetgoober@gmail.com. So excited because we, like I said, we have a ton of things that we have in the works for the podcast. And we're really, really grateful to everyone who's been a part of this journey. So until next time, I'm JJ Outlaw.
And I'm T Outlaw.
And you have been listening to the newest episode of the Gourmet Goober podcast. Thanks again. Until next time, happy eating.